this passion will never go away.
Celine is the best-selling French-language artist in music history.
What if the greatest voice of a generation was hiding a secret so terrifying that even the people cheering her on had no idea it was happening? For nearly 2 decades, Celine Dion stepped onto stages with a smile that looked effortless. Millions believed they were watching one of the most unstoppable performers in music history. Every high note sounded flawless, every concert looked magical, and every standing ovation made it seem like nothing could ever slow her down. But behind those unforgettable performances, a silent battle was unfolding. It wasn't a scandal, it wasn't a broken relationship, and it wasn't the pressure of fame. It was something far more frightening, something that slowly began stealing away the very gift that made her a global icon. For years, she convinced herself it was just exhaustion, overwork, or another temporary setback. The truth was much darker, and when the world finally discovered what she'd been hiding, fans everywhere were left stunned. But that shocking revelation wasn't the end of her story. It was only the beginning of a battle that would test every ounce of her strength. And what happened next would leave even her closest supporters speechless. Long before sold-out arenas and Grammy Awards, Celine Dion's story started in a modest home in Quebec, where music wasn't a career dream. It was simply part of everyday life. As the youngest of 14 children, she grew up surrounded by songs instead of luxury. Her family didn't have wealth, but they possessed something far more valuable: belief in her extraordinary talent. Before most children even knew what they wanted to become, Celine was already performing for real audiences, captivating people with a voice that seemed impossible for someone so young. Everything changed when music manager René Angelil heard a recording of the 12-year-old singer. Instead of treating it like another demo tape, he saw history in the making. He believed in her so completely that he reportedly mortgaged his own home to finance her first album. It was an enormous gamble that few people would ever take. That single decision launched one of the most remarkable careers the music industry has ever witnessed. But as incredible as her rise would become, no amount of success could prepare her for the invisible struggle waiting years ahead. By the late 1990s, Celine Dion wasn't simply famous. She had become a worldwide phenomenon. Songs like My Heart Will Go On turned into timeless anthems, while her concerts attracted millions across continents. Album after album shattered expectations, and Las Vegas would later become another kingdom she conquered, changing the way superstar residencies were viewed forever. Fans saw a performer who never seemed to crack under pressure. Night after night, she delivered breathtaking performances with unmatched consistency, making it look almost effortless. But appearances can be incredibly deceiving. While audiences celebrated another unforgettable show, something strange had already begun happening behind the scenes. Small warning signs started creeping into her daily life. Her voice occasionally refused to cooperate. Certain muscles tightened without explanation. At first, those moments were easy to dismiss. Anyone working at her relentless pace could experience fatigue, so she pushed forward, determined not to disappoint anyone. What nobody realized, including Celine herself, was that these weren't isolated problems. They were the first whispers of a condition that would slowly reshape her entire life. And the worst part was still years away. Imagine building your entire identity around your voice, only to wake up one day realizing you can no longer trust it. That's the terrifying reality Celine quietly faced as the mysterious symptoms became harder to ignore. Some performances required enormous effort just to sound normal. There were moments when singing felt unpredictable, almost as if her own body had stopped listening to her. Instead of immediately revealing the problem, she searched for ordinary explanations. Maybe she needed more rest. Maybe endless touring had simply caught up with her. Maybe another vacation would solve everything. Those hopeful thoughts allowed her to keep performing while hiding the growing fear inside. Fans noticed occasional postponed shows, but very few suspected anything serious. Official statements spoke about muscle issues or exhaustion, leaving the public with only part of the story. Behind closed doors, however, the uncertainty became overwhelming. Doctors searched for answers, while Celine struggled to understand what was happening to the one instrument she'd relied on her entire life. Then, after years of unanswered questions, the truth finally emerged, and it changed everything. When Celine Dion finally faced the camera in late 2022, millions expected another routine update about postponed concerts. Instead, they witnessed one of the most emotional announcements of her career. Fighting back tears, she revealed she had been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, an extremely rare neurological condition that most people had never even heard of. Suddenly, years of unexplained cancellations, vocal struggles, and painful muscle spasms made heartbreaking sense. The disease can cause severe stiffness, unpredictable spasms, and intense pain, making everyday movement difficult. For an artist whose career depends on precise muscle control and emotional performances, it was a devastating diagnosis. Even more heartbreaking, there is currently no cure. Treatments can help manage symptoms, but they cannot erase the condition. Fans around the world feared they had already seen Celine Dion perform for the very last time. Yet while many believed this announcement marked the closing chapter of her legendary career, Celine was quietly preparing for something no one expected, and the decision she would make next carried risks far greater than anyone could imagine. For a while, the world heard very little from Celine Dion, and that silence only fueled more questions. Fans wondered whether she'd ever stand under the spotlight again, or if the disease had permanently ended one of music's greatest careers. Behind the scenes, though, Celine refused to surrender. Every day became a battle filled with therapy sessions, medications, and carefully planned exercises designed to help her regain even the smallest amount of control over her body. Progress was painfully slow, and there were moments when even simple movements became overwhelming. Yet those closest to her say she never stopped believing there was still another chapter waiting to be written. If you're inspired by stories of courage like this, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into the biggest stories behind the world's most iconic stars. Because what happened during Celine's recovery wasn't just surprising, it completely changed the way millions viewed her strength. And then came the moment no one expected to witness. In 2024, viewers were given an unforgettable look inside Celine's private world through the documentary I Am, Celine Dion. Instead of presenting a polished celebrity image, she chose complete honesty. Cameras followed her through medical appointments, therapy sessions, and the emotional highs and lows that had remained hidden for years. Then came the scene that stunned audiences around the globe. During a therapy session, her body suddenly went into an intense spasm. It started gradually before spreading through multiple parts of her body, leaving her unable to control what was happening. The most heartbreaking detail was that she remained fully aware throughout the entire episode. She could feel everything but couldn't stop it. The footage was difficult to watch, yet Celine insisted it remain in the documentary. She wanted people to understand what living with this rare condition truly looks like, instead of imagining it from headlines alone. That decision revealed a level of courage few celebrities ever show. But an even more emotional moment followed after the cameras stopped rolling. Once the painful episode finally ended, many expected Celine to break down completely. Instead, something remarkable happened. Rather than focusing on her own suffering, she turned her attention toward comforting the people around her. The film's director later admitted that filming the scene was emotionally overwhelming, questioning whether the cameras should have stopped altogether. But Celine believed hiding the reality would only leave others feeling isolated in their own struggles. Her decision transformed one of the darkest moments of her life into a source of hope for countless families dealing with rare illnesses. Around the world, viewers praised her honesty, calling it one of the bravest documentaries ever made about chronic disease. Suddenly, The conversation wasn't just about a legendary singer. It was about resilience, vulnerability, and refusing to let illness define your identity. Still, while fans admired her courage, another rumor was beginning to spread across the music industry. Could Celine actually be preparing to sing live again? For months, whispers of a possible comeback circulated through entertainment circles, but no one knew what to believe. Some insiders claimed she was focusing only on rehabilitation, while others hinted that something much bigger was being planned behind closed doors. Then came the Paris Olympics opening ceremony. As millions watched from around the world, speculation reached its peak. Would Celine really perform despite everything she'd endured? When she finally appeared high above the city near the Eiffel Tower, the audience erupted before she even sang a single note. Dressed elegantly against the backdrop of pouring rain, she delivered an emotional performance that instantly became one of the defining moments of the ceremony. Viewers weren't simply hearing a famous voice. They were witnessing someone refusing to let unimaginable obstacles write the ending of her story. Social media exploded within minutes, with countless fans calling it one of the greatest comeback performances they'd ever seen. But behind that unforgettable moment, a much bigger question still remained unanswered. As inspiring as the Olympic performance was, many medical experts and longtime fans understood that one successful appearance didn't erase the reality of Celine's condition. A single performance is vastly different from committing to months of rehearsals, multiple concerts, and the physical demands of touring. That's why reports of a possible full-scale return immediately sparked both excitement and concern. Everyone wanted to see Celine back where she belongs, yet no one wanted to see her health pushed beyond its limits. The uncertainty surrounding her future became part of what made her story so powerful. Every step toward the stage represented determination, hope, and enormous personal risk. Whether this becomes one of the greatest comeback stories in music history or another heartbreaking chapter depends on something no one, not even Celine herself, can fully predict. And as plans for her next performances continued to unfold, the entire world found itself asking the same emotional question: how much is she willing to risk for the music she loves? The biggest question wasn't whether Celine Dion could still sing. It was whether her body would allow her to keep singing night after night. That's a challenge very few people truly understand. Stiff person syndrome doesn't follow a predictable schedule. One day, a person may feel relatively stable, while the next, severe muscle spasms can appear without warning. Even stress, excitement, loud sounds, or emotional moments can trigger an episode. Ironically, those are the exact ingredients of a live concert. Bright lights, roaring crowds, adrenaline, and the emotional connection between an artist and thousands of fans are what make a performance unforgettable. But for Celine, those same moments could also become dangerous. Medical specialists have explained that managing the condition requires constant monitoring, medication, and careful planning. Every rehearsal must be measured. Every performance must be approached with caution. Yet despite knowing all of these risks better than anyone else, Celine never stopped talking about returning to the place she loves most. And that determination left millions wondering just how far she was willing to go. What makes Celine's story even more emotional is that music has never been just a career for her. It has always been deeply connected to the people she loves. Since the passing of her husband and longtime manager, René Angélil, every performance has carried memories that audiences can't fully see. René wasn't simply the man who discovered her talent. He was her biggest supporter, her closest advisor, and the person who believed in her long before the world did. His encouragement helped transform a young girl from Quebec into one of the best-selling artists in history. Losing him left an emptiness that words could never fully describe. Yet instead of walking away from music after his passing, Celine often spoke about how performing helped her feel close to him. Every song became more than entertainment. It became a reminder of the incredible journey they built together. Perhaps that's one reason she refuses to let illness silence her. Because stepping on stage isn't only about singing. It's about keeping a lifelong promise alive. But an even bigger surprise was waiting just around the corner. As rumors about her future continued to spread, mysterious signs started appearing that hinted something major was in the works. Fans noticed cryptic messages online and subtle clues that quickly sparked speculation across social media. Was this simply another promotional campaign, or was Celine preparing to make an announcement nobody expected? The excitement reached another level when reports suggested she was planning a brand new residency in Paris. Almost instantly, fans from around the world began discussing travel plans before anything had even been officially confirmed. When the announcement finally arrived, it felt less like a concert schedule and more like a declaration that she wasn't ready to let her story end. Despite openly acknowledging that her condition hadn't disappeared, Celine expressed gratitude, optimism, and cautious confidence about returning to live audiences. She never claimed to be completely healed. Instead, she spoke honestly about feeling stronger while understanding the challenges ahead. That honesty made the announcement even more powerful. But the public's response was something nobody could have predicted. Within hours of tickets becoming available, demand reached astonishing levels. Fans weren't just buying seats, they were chasing the chance to witness what many believed could become one of the most emotional performances of this generation. Reports suggested millions registered for opportunities to secure tickets, forcing organizers to expand the number of scheduled shows. The overwhelming response proved something remarkable. Years away from the stage hadn't diminished Celine's connection with her audience. If anything, it had strengthened it. People weren't simply coming to hear classic songs. They wanted to celebrate resilience, determination, and the incredible strength she'd shown during the most difficult period of her life. But behind the excitement remained a difficult reality. Every additional concert also meant additional physical demands, longer rehearsals, and repeated exposure to the very conditions that could trigger her illness. Supporters celebrated the comeback, while others quietly wondered whether too much was being asked of someone facing such an unpredictable medical condition. And those concerns only grew louder as opening night moved closer. As the countdown to her return continued, one truth became impossible to ignore. This wasn't a typical celebrity comeback, designed to generate headlines or boost album sales. For Celine Dion, every appearance represents a personal decision to confront fear instead of hiding from it. She understands better than anyone that there are no guarantees. A flawless performance could inspire millions, while an unexpected medical episode could unfold without warning. Yet she continues moving forward with remarkable courage. That's exactly why her journey has resonated with people far beyond the music industry. Whether someone is facing illness, grief, or another life-changing challenge, Celine's determination serves as a reminder that strength isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to keep going even when the future feels uncertain. As the lights prepare to shine once again, and thousands wait for that unforgettable first note, one final question hangs in the air. Will this become the greatest comeback of her legendary career, or the most courageous performance of her entire life? Behind every headline about Celine Dion's comeback is a reality most fans never see. Returning to the stage isn't simply a matter of rehearsing songs and stepping in front of a microphone. Every day requires careful planning, medical supervision, and constant attention to how her body responds. Even a routine rehearsal can become exhausting when every movement has to be measured. Unlike many performers who spend hours perfecting choreography or vocals, Celine must also think about conserving energy, avoiding unnecessary strain, and recognizing the earliest signs that something isn't right. That's an invisible battle audiences rarely consider, yet those closest to her say she approaches each day with remarkable determination, refusing to let fear control every decision. Rather than focusing on what she can no longer do, she continues searching for ways to adapt and move forward. That mindset has become one of the defining parts of her journey. But while she was rebuilding her strength in private, the public was preparing for a moment that could redefine her legacy forever. As anticipation continued to grow, fans from every corner of the world began sharing their own stories online. Thousands revealed how Celine's music had helped them through heartbreak, illness, loss, and some of the darkest moments of their lives. Her songs had become more than chart-topping hits. They were deeply personal memories tied to weddings, family celebrations, and emotional goodbyes. Reading those messages reportedly reminded many people why her return meant so much. This wasn't just about hearing a legendary singer perform again. It was about reconnecting with a voice that had been part of people's lives for decades. That emotional bond created enormous expectations, but it also brought pressure unlike anything most artists ever experience. Every performance would be watched closely, every note analyzed, and every appearance discussed around the world. The spotlight had never truly left Celine, but now it shined brighter than ever. And with that attention came another challenge few people were talking about. No matter how inspiring the comeback appears, experts continue to remind fans that stiff person syndrome remains an unpredictable condition. There are encouraging days when symptoms seem manageable, and there are difficult days when everything changes without warning. That's why many people close to Celine have emphasized that her health will always come before any concert schedule. If adjustments become necessary, they'll simply be part of the journey. Surprisingly, many fans have embraced that reality. Instead of demanding perfection, they've expressed overwhelming support for whatever pace allows her to continue safely. That shift says a lot about how public perception has changed. Years ago, audiences expected flawless performances every night. Today, many see something far more meaningful. They see a woman refusing to let a rare illness define her entire identity. That perspective has transformed her comeback into something much bigger than entertainment. Still, there was one question that continued dominating conversations everywhere. What keeps pushing her forward despite all the risks? The answer may lie in something Celine has repeated throughout her career. Music has always been where she feels most alive. Even during the hardest chapters of her life, singing has given her purpose when everything else seemed uncertain. Friends and longtime collaborators have often described her as someone who genuinely comes alive the moment she steps on stage. That passion hasn't disappeared simply because life became more difficult. If anything, it appears stronger than ever. Every rehearsal, every vocal exercise, and every small victory represents another step toward reclaiming a part of herself that illness tried to take away. That's why so many people see her journey as more than a comeback. It's a powerful reminder that purpose can survive even the toughest circumstances. Celine isn't trying to erase what's happened to her. She's proving that difficult chapters don't always have to become the final chapter. And that message is exactly why millions continue standing beside her. As opening night draws closer, excitement and uncertainty continue to exist side by side. No one can predict exactly how the future will unfold, and perhaps that's what makes this story so unforgettable. Every performance carries hope, courage, and a level of determination that can't be measured by ticket sales or standing ovations alone. Whether she delivers one unforgettable concert or many more over the years, Celine Dion has already accomplished something extraordinary by refusing to let fear write the ending of her story. Her journey reminds us that true strength isn't found in never facing obstacles. It's found in continuing to move forward despite them. Millions will be watching when the lights finally dim and the first note fills the arena once again. Not just because they want to hear one of the greatest voices in music history, but because they'll be witnessing the next chapter of a story that has inspired the world. And the final chapter may still be the most remarkable one of all. When people look back on Celine Dion's career years from now, they probably won't remember only the record-breaking albums, the sold-out arenas, or the countless awards lining her shelves. Those achievements are extraordinary, but they're no longer the whole story. Today, millions see something even more powerful. A woman who refused to disappear when life handed her one of the toughest challenges imaginable. Instead of hiding forever, she chose honesty. She opened the doors to her private struggle, allowing fans to witness moments of pain that most celebrities would never let the world see. That decision transformed public perception. She stopped being viewed only as a music legend and became a symbol of resilience for people facing battles of their own. Whether someone is living with a chronic illness, recovering from loss, or simply trying to overcome difficult circumstances, Celine's story offers something that awards never could: hope. But perhaps the most remarkable part of her journey isn't what she's already accomplished. It's what she's still determined to do. One of the biggest misconceptions surrounding Celine's comeback is that it's about proving critics wrong. In reality, her actions suggest something much deeper. She isn't chasing headlines or trying to silence doubters. She's trying to reclaim the part of herself that has always existed through music. Every rehearsal represents another opportunity to reconnect with the life she's loved since childhood. Every performance is another reminder that even when circumstances change, passion doesn't have to disappear. That message has resonated far beyond the entertainment industry. Doctors, therapists, patients, and families affected by rare neurological disorders have praised her willingness to bring awareness to a condition that many people had never heard of before her diagnosis. Conversations that once existed only inside medical communities suddenly reached millions around the world. In many ways, her influence now extends beyond music. She's helping others feel understood during some of the hardest moments of their lives. And that's a legacy no chart position could ever measure. Of course, difficult questions still remain. Nobody, not fans, doctors, or even Celine herself, can predict exactly how the coming years will unfold. Stiff person syndrome remains an incredibly rare and unpredictable condition, meaning every step forward requires patience and careful planning. There may be incredible triumphs, unexpected setbacks, or moments that force difficult decisions. That's simply the reality of living with a chronic neurological disorder. But perhaps what's most inspiring is that Celine has never promised perfection. She hasn't claimed that everything is fine or pretended the illness has disappeared. Instead, she's shown that courage often means continuing despite uncertainty. That honesty is exactly why audiences continue supporting her with such passion. They aren't expecting an impossible fairy tale ending. They're celebrating someone who refuses to surrender the things that give her life meaning. And as her story continues unfolding, one thing has become crystal clear. This journey has already changed countless lives around the world. Imagine the atmosphere when the lights finally dim before another Celine Dion performance. Thousands of fans fall silent, each carrying their own memories connected to her music. Some remember hearing her songs during childhood. Others think about weddings, family celebrations, or moments of heartbreak when her voice provided comfort they couldn't find anywhere else. Then the spotlight appears, and for a brief moment, nothing else matters. It isn't just another concert anymore. It's a celebration of perseverance, resilience, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. Every lyric carries new meaning, because audiences now understand everything she endured just to stand there. Every note becomes more emotional, because they know the sacrifices hidden behind it. Whether she's singing to thousands inside an arena, or millions watching around the world, her presence represents something larger than entertainment. It reminds everyone watching that life's toughest obstacles don't always get the final word. And that message may become her greatest performance of all. As this remarkable chapter continues, one truth rises above everything else. Celine Dion's greatest victory may never be measured by ticket sales, streaming numbers, or standing ovations. Her greatest victory is showing the world that strength isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep moving forward, even when the future is uncertain. She has faced heartbreaking loss, unimaginable physical challenges, and questions that still have no clear answers. Yet through it all, she continues choosing hope over despair and determination over defeat. Whether she performs for years to come or simply gives fans a few more unforgettable moments, her impact has already been secured forever. She has reminded millions that courage doesn't require perfect circumstances. It simply requires taking the next step. And perhaps that's the real reason her story continues inspiring people across the globe. It isn't because she's unstoppable. It's because she proves that even the strongest people can struggle, fall, rise again, and keep believing. What do you think Celine Dion's greatest legacy will be? Her legendary voice, or the incredible courage she's shown in the face of impossible odds? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to watch the next video on your screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.